Do you find yourself Googling random questions to do with driving? You're not alone. I decided to look further into this and I've created the top 10 most Googled driving questions in the UK. Hopefully you can find the answers you're looking for here. The most commonly searched driving question is, can you park on single or double yellow lines? I've even found myself Googling this before. Unfortunately, when it comes to double yellow lines, you must not stop and wait or park at any point, even if there's no signage confirming this. The highway code states that the presence of double yellow lines indicate a prohibition of waiting at any time, even if there are no upright signs. Being caught parking on double yellow lines could land you with a penalty charge notice. If this happens, you can expect it to cost you anywhere between £50 and £80, depending on where you live. But what about the single yellow lines? The rules are slightly different for single yellow lines. The single yellow line indicates that there are parking and waiting restrictions, so there's no parking or stopping allowed during certain times of the day. There are no set hours for the single yellow line, so there'll usually be signage nearby indicating when you can't stop or park. Is it illegal to drive barefoot or in flip-flops? It can be so tempting to run to the car in your flip-flops, especially in the summer when you just nip out to get a couple of bits. However, not wearing the correct footwear, which could impede your ability to properly control the car, could land you with a hefty fine of at least £1,000. Or if you're driving a passenger carrying vehicle, it can be £2,500 and 3 points on your licence. Now, this doesn't just apply to flip-flops either. You could be penalised if you're caught driving barefoot, just in your socks, in sliders, or any other footwear that's deemed inappropriate for proper control of your vehicle. Can I drive without an MOT? Well, not only is driving without a valid MOT dangerous, but it's illegal. If you're caught driving without an MOT, you could be fined up to £1,000. There's more though. If you're caught driving a vehicle that has been deemed as dangerous by an MOT test, you could be fined up to £2,500, receive a driving ban, and 3 points on your licence. What's a drink driving limit? Now, this is probably a question that you receive loads of different answers to. It's common in the UK to say that there's a 2-drink limit. Many pubs around the UK talk about how many units of alcohol you've consumed. Typically, it's said that women can have 3 units and men can have 4 and still be fit to drive. However, it depends on so many different things like the type of alcohol you're drinking and how much. For example, like drinking a few shots of a 40% spirit will affect you much faster than a pint of lager would. Your weight, age, sex, metabolism are all taken into account as well. We can see that in Scotland there's a much lower level than there is in England, and the fines and penalties associated with drinking and driving are very serious. You could face lifelong imprisonment, an unlimited fine, a driving ban of at least 5 years, 3 to 11 points on your licence, and the need to take an extended driving test before you can return to driving after your ban. Is it illegal to park on the pavement? A commonly asked question searched by over 2,000 people per year. Parking on the pavement is only considered illegal in London, but for the rest of the UK it isn't. If you park on the pavement in London and you're caught, even if it's just 1 or 2 wheels, you can be issued a fine. Currently the fine's £70, but if you pay within 14 days, it's reduced to £35. However, if you don't pay within 28 days, the fine can be increased to £105 and the matter could be taken to court if you don't pay this amount. How much is a speeding ticket? Well, the price of a speeding ticket will vary and it depends on how fast and over the speed limit you were going and what the legal speed limit was at the time. The minimum fine for speeding is set at £100 plus 3 points on your licence. Depending on the seriousness of the offence, you could even be disqualified from driving or have your licence suspended if you've reached more than 12 points. It's worth noting that a speeding fine is typically calculated as a percentage of a weekly income, but capped at £1,000. However, for speeding on the motorway, it's £2,500. How to avoid paying a bus lane fine. Perhaps you don't believe that you drove in a bus lane, or you are making way to avoid a road accident with another vehicle. If you believe that you shouldn't pay the bus lane fine, then you can and should appeal. However, if you did drive in the bus lane and you have no grounds for appeal, you're best off paying the fine as soon as possible to avoid any further charges. Currently, the penalty for driving in a bus lane is a fine and 3 to 11 points on your licence. It'll come through the post as a fixed penalty notice, and you'll usually be given a deadline to pay. Can I drive with broken ribs? Well, the short answer is no. It's your responsibility as a driver to make sure that you're fit to drive. So any health condition that affects your driving must be reported to the DVLA. If you fail to do this, you could face a fine of up to £1,000 and 3 to 11 points on your licence. If you're involved in an accident, you could also be in prison for up to 2 years and risk being disqualified. Ask your doctor if you're not sure how long you shouldn't be driving for. It might seem tempting just to nip to the shops quickly, but the recommendation not to drive is there for a reason: your health and well-being. Not only could you cause an accident if you've got to suddenly swerve to avoid a car, but you'll be putting yourself through more pain just for the sake of driving. Avoid the pain and the risk of hurting anyone else and get someone else to drive for the time being. Can you park anywhere with a disabled badge? No. While a blue badge does indeed open up more places to park, it doesn't give you permission to park anywhere you like. Blue badge holders must obey the rules of the road as laid out in the Highway Code. If you park somewhere that endangers people, like outside of a school or near a busy junction, then you'll be fined. You could also face up to 2 years in prison and disqualification from driving and 3 to 9 points on your licence. You can't park in these areas, so loading bays, doctors' bays, taxi bays, bus stops, cycle lanes, pedestrian crossings, including zebra, pelican, toucan and puffin crossings. You can't park anywhere with zigzag lines during the time a loading or unloading ban is in force. School keep clear markings during the hours shown on yellow no stopping plate. Suspended bay, clearly marked with cones and signage. Is it illegal to eat and drive? No, it's not illegal to eat and drive. However, if the police think that you're too distracted and lose control of your vehicle, you could be landed with a fine for being distracted and for careless driving. If you're caught, you'll be given an on-the-spot fine of £100 and 3 penalty points on your licence. As a driver, it's your responsibility to drive safely, so you should always practice safe driving. This might mean waiting a short while to eat your lunch.